Hey guys, so I'm going to do a quick video on the top 5 sequels I'll probably never get. Who knows, we might get it someday. But for right now, these sequels aren't a possibility. Literally. So anyway, let's get to it. Now this is a sequel that everyone has been clamoring for ever since the third installment, Back to the Future Part 4, which director Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale have shut the door on constantly. This sequel will probably never come because the directors have just said over and over again there will be no more Back to the Future. There are talks about a Back to the Future remake, which there shouldn't be. If you ask me, they could still do Part 4, but have Tom Holland replace Michael J. Fox, since Michael J. Fox, as y'all know, has Parkinson's disease and is incapable of reprising his role as Marty McFly. But they could totally do it. Um, this isn't the only Robert Zemeckis sequel that has gotten the shutdown. We'll get to that in a sec. I am quite a fan of Back to the Future. I like the first film. I thought the second one was pretty good too. The third one is kind of weak, but I still would like to see another Back to the Future. Anyway, moving on. Now this is a sequel that was actually planned, but it got canceled because of 9/11, which the film would have centered around the event of 9/11. But Forrest Gump would have been raising his son in the sequel. It would have been basically about him and his son having adventures, and I think his arc would have been to be a more responsible father. It would have been the type of film where Forrest Gump would try to spend time with his son, get to know him. Maybe there would have been some conflict between them. I have no idea. But this sequel, like Back to the Future Part 4, is most likely never going to come out. And Robert Zemeckis has said that, Forrest Gump is a one-off movie. It's very special to many people, and you just can't recapture that same magic with a sequel. So I'm afraid there's probably never going to be a Forrest Gump 2, and I think many people are okay with that. Now, this is a sequel, just like Forrest Gump 2 and Back to the Future Part 4, people want a Ferris Bueller 2. I love Ferris Bueller. It's one of my favorite 80s movies. Matthew Broderick killed it as Ferris Bueller, and I would love to see a sequel. Unfortunately, this was a planned sequel. It was called Ferris Bueller 2 Another Day Off, but it got canceled because director John Hughes felt it'd be too much of a rehash of the first film and just a cheap cash-in. We give him props. He cares about the story and not messing it up. I really respect that. But I would still like to see a Ferris Bueller 2. I love the characters. I love the world. It's just a very fun movie, and I would definitely love to see a sequel. Who knows? Maybe if Broderick's up to it, get the old cast back together. Sure, it may be a rehash, but you know what? It's better than nothing. Am I right? This is one of the sequels that I desperately want to happen. Probably the only one. Anyway, moving on. Now, there have been no plans for R.I.P.D. 2. And when it first came out, people hated it. It was critically trashed, and it performed terribly at the box office. So a sequel was definitely not in the minds of the director at the time. But Dad really loves the sequel. He loves the film, and he would really love to see a sequel. You saw that in his review, and honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel. I don't think it's the best movie ever. It definitely has a lot of flaws. It's not an original movie either. It is copying Men in Black a lot. The characters and the plot is very similar to Men in Black. But I think part of the reason why people don't like R.I.P.D. is because it touches on judgment and afterlife, and the fact that we do have to be judged someday, and I think that convicts a lot of people, and they don't want to feel that while watching a movie. To them, it's kind of like a Christian movie. I don't know. But, I don't know. R.I.P.D. 2 is an impossibility simply because it did not do well at the box office, and it was critically panned, And Universal's greedy. They only make movies that they know will make money, like the Fast and Furious movies or the Despicable Me movies. So yeah, all those factors, they totally go against an RIPD2 existing in any form. So this, sadly, along with Green Lantern, is one of the Ryan Reynolds films that will sadly never get a follow-up. And the last sequel that will definitely never happen, not at this point at all, E.T. 2. Yeah, this was definitely a planned sequel. I'm sorry, I don't know. Sorry, forgive me. This was a planned sequel. Director Steven Spielberg was throwing around ideas for a sequel. Apparently, E.T. would have had the rest of his family members come out, and they would have been evil and dark, like basically the opposite of E.T. And like the original title of the film was E.T. Nocturnal Fears, and I think it would have been more darker. It would have been like a war movie instead of a fun little comedy like the original was. The original had some dark elements, but it was mostly lighthearted and fluffy and funny. The sequel would have taken things in a darker direction, and Steven Spielberg canceled this because he felt that it would totally destroy the original film. Because the original film is a classic and everybody loves it, and it has this very special heart to it, and he felt that a sequel would totally demolish everything that the first film was and stood for. So, if you want my opinion on this, I'm glad that he was thinking about the heart of the first film, and that if he made a sequel, it would destroy the first film. But I would wonder what a sequel to E.T. would actually be, how it would feel. I'm curious to see an E.T. 2 maybe, but at this point, it will never happen. It's too late. E.T. is a classic, but it's also sealed its fate as a standalone film. Unless they make an E.T. remake and do a sequel to that, an E.T. 2 will never happen. So there will be a part 2 of this video. Those are not the only sequels that are doomed to never happen. So what do you guys think of these 5 sequels? Do you want any of them to happen, or are you happy they all got canceled or were never planned from the get-go? Let me know down in the comments. I'll see you guys later.